It's Not Another Buffalo Podcast, hosted by three of the most underqualified sports personalities this side of the canal. With John.
All you people out there who are like, these idiots don't know anything. First of all, you're right. And second of all,
Pat.
I'm just a dad talking in a closet, but I'm just saying.
And Brando.
We have this trust built on whatever it is, like Bibles and gold bricks and whatever Brandon Bean's drinking over there.
all right, welcome back to Not Another Buffalo Podcast. I'm John. I'm here with my buddies, Brando on the couch and the future dad in the closet, Patty Cap. It is a Tuesday evening. Happy birthday, Josh Allen. Woo-hoo. This episode is brought to you guys by Small City Realty. If you're looking to buy, sell, or manage property in Western New York, gotta call Zach Korzelius at 585-409-1088. 585-409-1088. So a lot of news this week, guys. We had, obviously, today's Josh Allen's birthday. Scotty Scheffler got arrested before playing a round of golf. Like, that was a pretty big story to watch unfold. Yeah. The Bandits won the NLL championship for the second year in a row at home, which was big. Yes. Joe Burrow allegedly had some new hair on Twitter today, which turned out to be a hoax. But I'm going to have a top 10 later about that as if it wasn't a hoax, because I already had it done by the time I figured out it was a hoax. Yeah. What else? What am I missing? Bills are in OTAs right now as we speak.
Micah Hyde's softball game was Saturday. Yep. Jordan Poyer said Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league, even though Tua Tagovailoa is his new quarterback. So that's always funny.
Well, he's not wrong.
Let's talk about the Bandits for a second here, because we are watching something that hasn't been done in pro sports very often. Getting robbed of a season. The lady that I sat next to at the championship game last year, she was crying because she was talking about how they got robbed during the COVID season. And so this is also interesting. Let's go back. The Bandits drafted Josh Byrne, who won MVP and Offensive Player of the Year this year, first overall in 2016. And the Bandits are a perennial contender, so they don't get high picks too often. So they had one bad year where, John Tavares retires in 2008. They're kind of middling and they're still competing, but they had one bad year and they get to draft the number one overall superstar. It's like that year that you get any of these quarterbacks at the top of the draft, or you get lucky.
The Colts being perennially good with Peyton Manning, and then exactly.
But to put Josh Burns into perspective, it's like Connor McDavid. I think he's at that level. Yeah. He's generational talent, and to get him and then go on a run of 4 straight championship appearances, and the woman was so upset because she said the COVID year when the season got canceled, the Bandits were dominant. It was like it's like the Sabres out of the lockout. They come out with this young, hot team, all these players, early 20s, and they get robbed of a season of their prime. Then they come out, they're young, they make the finals, they lose, they make the finals again, they lose, they make a couple roster additions, and then they win back to back. So it's been really cool. And they don't just win, they went undefeated in the playoffs. They are dominating these teams. And Banditland, dude, sold out. It was electric. The Sabres got to take notes. They got to get some chants going. They got to get, some of these other arenas, dude, in Florida, when I went to a Tampa game, they had like 20 people in the arena going section by section by section, doing giveaways, doing chants, doing cheers, just to keep the energy in the building as high as it could possibly get. And I'm like, Sabres do nothing. Like this doesn't exist in Buffalo, but the Bandits make it happen, man. So that was super exciting. Parade on Sunday was cool. So, Micah Hyde's softball game was the same day. Anybody that was downtown on Sunday had a good day.
That's the kind of stuff that I feel like I really miss out on, not living in Buffalo, being able to go to that kind of stuff. But yeah, we got to see Josh Allen hit some dingers there at the softball game. Yeah. Heard
Micah
from Micah Hyde
about
his future and stuff. Yeah.
Behind the back, Josh Allen would call the shot to left field and then laid down a bunt. Maybe Kincaid was at first base, something like that. And Micah Hyde runs for the ball, throws it behind his back, gets him out at first base. Made top 10 plays on SportsCenter.
That's awesome.
Now let's talk about golf here too for a second. PGA Championship, Tiger Woods sucks. No offense. I love you, Tiger. He's good for one good round where he shoots even par and then falls off the wagon. 2 triple bogeys in the second round, make him miss the cut. But you got John Daly out there still shooting like an 85, so he's still not the worst. Tiger's still not the worst. But we're all here. Anybody that golfs has all been here. You got a 6-foot putt just outside of gimme range. And your average golfer probably misses 60% of a 6-foot putt, maybe even a little more.
Probably more.
It's tough, and there's no gimmies on the PGA. You see these guys tap in for 3-4 feet just because they get close and they just take their turn. But Xander Schauffele with the major title on the line, not just a major. Let me get this number right because I don't want to get it wrong. $3.33 million is the winning payout. And the second place payout is only 1.9. So that's a huge amount of money for a 6-foot putt. And the pressure that you feel, that's everybody's dream, right? It's like having a game winning basketball shot or, kicking the field goal to make it. But that pressure, it's just you and the ball and the green. Where's it going to go? And he just rims it around it. Had to get the basketball toilet flush to go in. So he made everybody think about it. But 6-foot putt on the line. How confident are you that you make it?
0. I'd rather kick a 40. Right? I'd rather kick a 40-yard field goal in like an NFL game. Actually, you know what? Okay, I'd probably 6-foot putt or give me a 30-yard field goal in an NFL game. 40 is too far.
I think those guys on the D-line are bigger than we're used to, John. I think those D-line rushers, I mean, they can blitz in there quite fast.
That's true, but it's just you and the ball, man. You can get the ball off before they're there. You just got to get it up.
But then you're relying on your holder and your left tackle not to be a bum. And, I don't know.
You haven't seen me attempt a 6-foot putt in a while. It's not great. Well, maybe I guess I'd take the putt. But I think for Xander, I don't think that it was that is a huge difference in money. But it's like he's the guy who doesn't have a major. And he's won all these things. And that was the monkey on his back was he didn't have a major. So now everybody turns to all the other people who don't have majors like Victor Hovland or I don't know who else you could list on that. But yeah, it was pretty exciting. And honestly, I haven't opened up Schmam Duel in I don't know, maybe 5 months since the Bills season ended, essentially was the last time. And I was going into that last hole when I saw him put his tee shot almost in the bunker, I pulled that out and I actually put $3 down on Bryson because I was okay, all he has to do is par this, and he's going into a playoff on a par 5 against Bryson, who's going to hit it 3/4 of the way to the green in this playoff because the playoff hole is going to be 18, which is the long par 5. And so, anyway, if Xander did have to make that putt, or else it felt like he was going to lose because he misses the putt, goes into a playoff, but. I think that he was definitely going to lose if he went into the playoffs. So I felt good for him. I like Xander.
I like that take, John, because Bryson was pumped when he made that tying putt.
Yeah, because veins were popping out of his head.
He knows that he has the advantage there. Even if he hits it into the bunker, he cleared Xander's shot by a good 55 yards. And by average tour distance driving, I saw it. He was up, I think it was 330 on average, and his longest was 361. That's insane. So that's a huge advantage for him. But it's cool to see Schauffele getting. I was kind of rooting for Bryce. I was glad that he tied it. I was rooting for Hovland the most, but
yeah,
Schauffele deserved it. Wire to wire, major record scoring, and it's super cool too. The other part about golf is the elements, right? The soft greens at Valhalla, and it comes from wetness, right? The dampness of the greens, and it blends perfectly with a spring morning where the dew comes up and the greens get soft. And you can spin the ball; they stick. It's like throwing darts at a dartboard, compared to something like the Masters, where the ball runs off all the time, and the rollouts are crazy for your irons. But that's why all the scoring, it was crazy. It was the lowest scoring major of all time by triple from the average score. It was minus 251.
Right. Yeah, and the winning score was one below previous. I think the record for a major championship was 20 under par, and it would have. This was 21. So, and can we just rewind a little bit and talk about the fact that Scotty went to jail and shot a 66 that day?
Yeah.
The same day. Went to jail, got the mugshot, dressed up as Ricky Fowler, and then did a full freaking 66.
Did you see how cool and calm he was?
Well, didn't he say afterwards he said he was shaking?
He was shaking, right? I was I'd be rattled for a full 72 hours after that. Yeah. the worst thing you can do in my mind, like I've been rattled before, like there are sports where you can get through that, like football, you're a little nervous before a game where you're like, okay, well, this guy's definitely going D1 and he's playing running back and we're going to have to freaking tackle him. And, I'm a 145 pound freshman who got pulled up to varsity and because of injuries, I'm not even supposed to be here. Like we've had that adrenaline rush before and you can get through that in football and use it to your advantage. Golf, that's the worst. Any kind of anxiousness, I will shank balls so far. Yeah. Like if I get paired up with a stranger on the first tee, like my tee shot is going into the road to the left. It's so bad for me with nerves and golf and stuff like that. I'm so anti-clutch. And I think that's why I hate Scotty so much, because he's so robotically clutch. He's not human.
So what exactly was the offense? I mean, I heard that it was like, was it during traffic or something? He lipped off to a cop and then there's no body cam footage. So then it's like, really, what happened?
No, he never lipped off to a cop.
There's no body cam footage apparently.
I know. I feel like TMZ would have dug that up by now if there was.
There was traffic because of a shuttle bus that hit a patron and killed them. So that was sad. But all the traffic was there. There was extra police barricades and he was in a PGA labeled car.
So he pulled into the median to pull around stopped traffic, right?
Like all the other pros did.
Right. And somebody tried to stop him and, the officer attached themselves to the car, which I don't know if that means. That could mean everything from jumped on the hood to like stepped on the running bars or the running
handcuffed boards. Wrist to the driver's door, but
held on to the back of it, and Scotty's like, dude. So I don't know. But apparently Scotty went for like 10 to 20 yards with the cop attached, and that's what he got arrested for.
And then the cop got hurt, so it was like, what did he get? Like assault of an officer or something. It was there was some
pretty serious charges, like 2nd degree assault or something like that. One of them was a felony.
Do you think he's hanging on to the car if it's not labeled PGA and he doesn't know there's a player in there potentially worth 7 figures? But I don't know. That is a crazy story. And then didn't he spent the night in jail? Right?
No. He spent the morning in jail.
And if he didn't have that hour delay in their tee times, he probably would have missed the round. Which, I mean, let's look. Do I have it on here still? I don't know if I have it on here still. So.
Well, I mean, that's like the chain of events where it's like you can't say like, oh, well, he was lucky to get that 1 hour, because also that 1 hour delay was caused by the pedestrian fatality which he probably wouldn't have had the traffic issue because of that afterwards. But
think about
it's just a crazy story. Like I was working with it on my second screen because I couldn't take my eyes off of like, what the heck is going on? It's one of those notifications you wake up to and you're like, does this say the right thing? Did they get the wrong name? Like, is this so it was crazy.
But he finished 8th. He makes $521,000 for finishing in 8th place.
Enough to pay his bail and then some.
But imagine if he misses his round, he has to withdraw from the tournament. It's $520,000 for Scotty Scheffler. But they were talking about the crews there were extra guys, but they were all like, they all knew what golfers were and they all knew who played, like what was happening. They weren't just like a Joe Schmo pulled out from under a rock. So I'm curious to see what happens. But did you see that he didn't even say I'm Scotty Scheffler? Not once. Not once did he drop his name.
I know. I kind of hate that I respect him for that, because
I would
like, too, if man, honestly, I don't think I'm better than that. I think if in that situation, I wouldn't do it from a conceited standpoint or like do you know who my father is? It'd be like out of fear. Like, I'm a golfer. Like I'm Scotty Scheffler. Like I'm
supposed to be here.
I'm supposed to pull around. Yeah.
That's what they told me to do. I definitely, you think about it. I respect him a ton because I would be doing it. I would be so mad. I don't know. Maybe I'm a lesser person, but I would be so pissed. You're there at 6 a.m. for a 9 o'clock tee time to get warmed up. And now you got to go to jail. You're like, dude, talk about unfairness, man. Anybody that's just been working so hard at your craft. It's just unfortunate that the whole thing happened. So good for him for being such a good citizen. But the funniest part
after the fact, but I don't want to like completely resolve him because we don't have footage. We don't know what happened. We don't know if like that guy jumped on his car and Scotty was like, F this. I'm like, I've been sitting in traffic all morning. I'm just going to drive and this guy will get off. And like, maybe he was doing something stupid.
Bro, I would have driven to the locker room with the guy on my car. Like, look at, there's my locker.
Are you kidding?
There's my leaderboard right there, dude. Get off my freaking car. What are you doing? Who do you think you are? Get on my car. What are you doing? It says PGA golfer right here. Like,
right, I think wouldn't you just roll down the window and say that?
Yeah, I mean, until he's like, I don't know. You never know what's going on with these guys.
I don't think that your first reaction should be like the thing that you do when you're playing GTA 5. Like, there should be a difference between your real life reaction and your GTA 5 reaction. Like, am I wrong?
I feel like I would be so fired up because I'd be like, I'm supposed to be here. You should know that I'm so. I talk about this as an employer for the Buffalo Bills. If we ever sniffed anything like that, all it does, like, and it happens regularly where it's like the guy's like, I'm Daryl Talley. I'm like, oh, you're good, bro. Like, I didn't recognize you. You're good. Or
you didn't recognize Daryl Talley?
I don't remember. It wasn't Daryl Talley. There was a guy.
Okay, I was gonna say
that needed to get in somewhere. And Josh Allen's parents, it happened. They're like, hey, we're Mr. and Mrs. Allen. We got to get through here. Like, go all you, man. I'm not putting up a stink. Like, who am I, man? Who am I to do this? And it's like, if this guy is in a PGA car turning down the street that only the golfers are going to, and somebody just jumps on your car, I'm like, I'm not trusting the situation. I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad. It's interesting that he didn't even have a driver. Also, it was him driving.
Right. He drives himself to tournaments. Most people don't drive themselves, but I'm sure Scotty will probably have a chauffeur for the next one, though. I would hope. But anyway, did you guys see Joe Burrow's new hair?
No, what is it? Let me see.
It shouldn't make headlines. Like, who cares? Josh didn't get headlines.
My girlfriend loves Joe Burrow. She thinks he's a certified Call of Cutie. So let me take a look here.
Call of Cutie.
Eric Andre show. He says, "Do you play video games because you're a Call of Cutie?" Oh, he's got the long hair. Oh God, John, remember when I used to have that flow back in the day? The Christ
John
flow.
Had some flow like that.
Here we go.
John had some flow like that too. Yeah,
I did. It didn't look that good. Anyway, again, we now know that this is actually fake. So
do we? Is that legit?
Take with that as you will. Yes, that it is fake. So Joe Burrow was seen at practice. Yeah, I would say that. Then he got like a Kenny Loggins thing going on. Those of you on the Spotify side, you should be able to see video, not an Apple Podcast. Sorry, that's Apple Podcast's fault. But Spotify or YouTube, you can see video. I'll put the picture in there. If not, just Google Joe Burrow new hair and you'll see what we're talking about. He's kind of got like a Anakin Skywalker episode 3 kind of vibe going on. 100%. Anyway, so my top 10 this week. Top 10. I haven't done it in a while. I have the top 10 things long hair Joe Burrow will be doing.
This is PG.
Yeah. That is a good question though.
Because long-haired Pat, yeah. Very different list. So what he was, you got to pull up. There's like a couple pictures of when I was my most degenerate. So I am curious to know.
I remember Pat. We have a good picture of you and me, and you've got some long locks going on.
John had some sick flow too. So this is coming from two men with flow. So I'm curious to see what
I had some greasy flow. That's for sure. But anyway. Top 10 things long hair Joe Burrow will be doing. Number 10, turning Gatorade into wine. Number 9, disregarding the high ground. Number 8, going undefeated in the regular season and losing to the Giants in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Number 7, getting kicked out of Play 60 events for trying to sneak in a lightsaber. Number 6, appearing in the next season of Stranger Things. Number 5, starring in the live-action Hercules movie. You could probably do the soundtrack too, honestly. He's got like that old Michael Bolton hair going on too. So wouldn't doubt it. Number 4, executing Order 66. Number 3, hating sand. Sorry, I had to get 10 of these. Number 2, parachuting into Cowboy Stadium on Thanksgiving with arms wide open. And the number 1 thing that Joe Burrow will be doing with long hair, going 7 and 10.
That'd be cool. I wish.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
We'll see. It'll be interesting how he does without the trio of wide receivers here because
he's going to do great.
T. Higgins might be back.
Tyler Boyd, yeah, I guess is
already gone.
Ass, yeah.
If we think Josh is going to do fine, I think we have to say Burrow's going to do fine. We have to give them both the same respect. The dude's the only guy that's ever beat Mahomes in the playoffs.
Same with the Ravens, who had more roster turnover than the Bills did. So,
well, it's interesting that you say that about the roster turnover because big departures. Trent Sherfield's not a starter. Floyd, Murray, Jackson, Neal, Morse, White, Hyde, Poyer, Davis.
6 out of 8 captains, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Only two remaining captains are Josh and Von Miller.
Okay.
Nope. Metakevich isn't on the squad anymore.
Nope. Metakevich is gone. Yep.
So the key here is to talk about what's worse if you're a GM, and you guys can answer this too. And I'm going to use a couple examples from other sports. So if you are always doing what you always have done and you keep getting the same result, there becomes a time where pressure starts to mount. And I'm really thinking of the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, and they have their core: John Tavares, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Alex Nylander, and those 4 combined for like $50 million against the cap. And the NHL cap's only 80. So it's well over half of their cap space tied into 4 guys. And they're good. They're a good team. Austin Matthews could be one of the best players in the NFL. Tavares, NHL, hockey. So these guys keep losing in the first or second round in the playoffs. They can't get by Boston. They barely made it out of the first round, and they finally did last year. But before that, I mean, it's like 7 years in a row, right? They haven't made it past the second round of the playoffs. But you assembled this crew that is dynamite regular season. You have some top players in the league on your squad. And every year that this happens, for years now, they talked about trading Alex Nylander. They talk about, is Austin Matthews going to resign here? Is somebody on the move? They've changed coaches a few times now. And a team like the Leafs is different with hockey, right? Financially, it's different, but they can't get past this, even though they assembled a good group of guys. And then you compare it to the Bills, or you compare it to, a team like John Elway's Broncos or Peyton Manning's Colts. You run it back until you can't, but at some point, something has to change. Getting a new coach in, Tony Dungy in the Colts situation gets him there. And even in Denver, he got a new coach at the end of his career with Shanahan, right? He came in for Elway after a few years not being there. And it's like, what was the kickstart that got them to the championship? So, but what's worse, if you're the Maple Leafs right now, you're getting phone call after phone call to talk radio, trade one of these guys. But it took you a whole lot of years to collect this talent. And now with the Buffalo Bills, you're getting beat by the Chiefs year after year after year after year now. And we are kind of upset about losing these players. But if we keep them and continue to lose, are we insane for doing the same thing over and over and over that hasn't worked? Because you replace half of your roster. You have different leadership. You're getting new blood in after the 13 seconds. So, you could take a stab at it. This could work. It could not work. What is worse? Riding with the guys that you have and losing to the Chiefs again next year that we had, and they age out or whatever, or at least giving it another shot. So I give Brandon Beane a little bit of credit here for not doing what he has always done, trying to make it work in a different way. So I don't know. If you're these other teams, what was Peyton Manning's roster turnover like? I feel like we're looking at the wide receivers here. Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison were with him for so long. Allen's not going to have that anymore. And these other quarterback wide receiver combos, but we've seen, you saw Brady go through players. You see these other teams kind of go through players. Just because we don't have that doesn't mean it can't work. So I don't know. What do you think? What's worse, sticking with the guys, even though they're successful, or trying to do something new because you haven't gotten over that hump yet?
Well, I mean, I think fiscally it would make sense just to keep shuffling new players in there. And I feel like, yes, maybe from a wins-loss record, player turnover ratio doesn't really have a steady correlation between wins or anything like that. But if you're talking like a money perspective, if you do have higher player turnover and you're bringing in these younger players on cheaper deals or on rookie deals, really, I guess that does give you the opportunity to spend more on an additional splash player or something like that. You look at back in the day, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 70s, and they got 8 Hall of Famers on the same roster. And so it's I guess playing those cap gymnastics, like people have been doing in major sports for the past 30 years. You look at, you got MJ's, 6 rings. I mean, it's pretty much just him, Scotty, and Phil Jackson are the only 3 really that made it through all 6 championships. Yeah. So that turnover rate's got to be crazy. So, I mean, I don't think it's the end of the world. But I I don't know what you think.
And it's tough to compare to other sports because as soon as you bring in the salary cap, like I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure like that Pittsburgh Steelers team, I'm pretty sure there was no salary cap.
There's no salary cap or free agencies. So it's like if you like
right. So you might not ever see that again. 8 Hall of Famers on the same team. Like you'd have to get like really good draft wise, I feel like, to be able to do that. And yeah, and with the NFL, it's single elimination playoffs too. Like that's the other thing. Like if you're the Maple Leafs and you're losing 7-game series every year, it's not because of things like 13 seconds, you know, it's not because of a couple of plays, right? Because it's like the NFL, it's like I feel like you get more justified for doing the same thing a couple of years in a row to try to get there, because sometimes it is just like sometimes it doesn't fall your way. And like, yes, you could have done a couple things different here or there. But yeah, I think the roster turnover, I'm optimistic about this next year because it's kind of fed into itself where it's like you needed to change something, right? And I think that when you say you need to change something, it's just a little bit about the chemistry of the team because it does go sour. And when you've had these guys that have been banging their heads up against the ceiling, like every year in a row, like that starts to get bitter a little bit. Like I feel like Stefan Diggs felt like that. Yeah. I feel like Josh takes that hard. You know, each year you're coming back after hitting your head on the same ceiling. I feel like it does get a little bit harder no matter how hungry you are for that. So if you get some new blood in the room, it feels a little bit fresher, and it might not be as extreme as a new coach, but like look at the boost they got when they fired Ken Dorsey and then moved to Joe Brady. And that might be totally independent of scheme. Like that might not be a purely scheme thing. So I'm optimistic about how the wide receiver room looks right now because of the variety in there and not because it lacks a superstar. Like I feel better now. I listened to Joe Marino. He brought up an amazing point. He's like, some of the guys who are watching OTAs right now are observing that, or there have been comments made about these guys, you know, saying like, we understand how invested everybody is right now, even if you're not the one getting the ball. Because towards the end of last year, you know, if you watch the film, Stefan Diggs kind of dogged some routes here and there. Trent Sherfield, you know, on routes that you're supposed to run, what is it? It's called a bus ticket route, right? Where you're supposed to go long, but it's really just to drag a defender. You're not getting the ball. Like those are the plays where it requires a lot of effort and buy-in from wide receivers. And in a lot of ways, they weren't getting that from Stefan Diggs. He dogged some routes. Again, Trent Sherfield, he's playing the clear out route. He's not going 100%, and that caused one of Josh's interceptions. So if you get a young, hungry group of wide receivers, then maybe you can see improvement in that department. And maybe you're not going to see Josh having to force the ball to one player, and you're going to get a truly spread offense where week to week, it could be a different person thriving. And so that's just the result of one move where you just took one guy away and added all these other guys. So it's like, it's variety. I feel like we don't have to have the Sean McDermott conversation because we have a big roster turnover right now. Like you said, like you do have to change something if you keep banging your head up against the ceiling. I'm just glad that it's not Sean McDermott right now, you know, because I think that would be a mistake this year, at least.
He has proven, though, that he has been able to shuffle his defense with guys like Benford, Bernard, and Epinesa, Oliver, Rousseau, Taylor Rapp, Saran Neal. He has put together chess pieces when the chessboard has not lined up for him. And to be able to manufacture pressure through your scheme has always been something that like we always kind of want a little bit more out of. But I feel like with Leonard Floyd, we saw it. We didn't really replace Leonard Floyd. So maybe this is the time for him to earn the stripes on defense. But the question mark is the offense. Like that's the turnover side that we're worried about. I'm not really worried about. We paid a defensive head coach in a land of offensive head coaches. So if he's going to make his money work for him, he has to deliver a top 10 defense out of the box. If you're a defensive coach in the NFL, you got to give me a top 10 defense or your head coach contract's not worth it. So if Bobby Babich and McDermott can combine together here to create something out of their guys, let's see Joe Brady do something. There's replacements in house. There's talent there. And I give him credit for doing it, because if he loses to the Chiefs again, running it back with the same guys, his seat probably gets hot, right? Eventually, if you keep losing to the Chiefs.
Yeah. Obviously, it depends on what it looks like, but I think it's a 2-year window right now. Not after this year, but after the following year. I think it'll be like, okay, did this reset work, or do we need a coaching reset at that point? I've had no, inclination that that's the piece that needs to get changed. I mean, we're upset about these gaffes in the playoffs and the team not being prepared. And you can criticize them for that. Just like, I don't know if you're going to uproot, your head coach and move to a completely different philosophy at this rate, if that's going to make a difference, or, because you risk a negative impact at that point.
You'd have to dig it back a little bit, but I would love to hear any sort of conversation that Peyton Manning had about his rosters and how they changed year to year. And, he was 30 before he wins the Super Bowl, and that took a lot of heartbreak to get there. So players leave, players get new contracts, you have to replace them, and so on and so forth. But what did he feel like? I wonder if he said anything. So maybe that's some research for the future shows here, but
yeah,
like he made it. Yeah. He did it, right? They did it. They figured it out. So
I think a Tom Brady quote would also be interesting, because Tom Brady actually won the Super Bowl twice without a 1,000-yard rusher or receiver on the roster. So I guess that's something to consider.
Right. But we all remember the weird nuances of those games, right?
What if I told you the 2023 Chiefs did not have a 1,000-yard receiver or a 1,000-yard rusher either? So,
yep. Yeah. So you can do it by committee, but again, and
historically good defense.
Yeah. Historically good defense, True. Great quarterback as well. So that's the other piece. We have that piece. So if the defense shows up, might be able to do it. But anyway, not to get all hypothetical on you guys real quick, but I just had this thought. Imagine a world where the Chicago Bears drafted Patrick Mahomes. How many Super Bowls do the Bills have right now?
At least one.
Two?
One.
Two? One? Think one?
Yeah. 2021.
Get it pre-Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Get that 2020, no, definitely. 2021 season.
You win that AFC Championship game, the first one maybe, and you're probably playing Burrow for the AFC title game instead of the Chiefs in that 13 seconds game. So
in that year, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Good question.
So yeah, maybe they're 1-1 in the Super Bowl. Maybe they win that AFC Championship game the first year, but lose the Super Bowl, which would be tough.
I think they win that Super Bowl. I think they would have beat the Rams.
No, that's not the Rams year. That's the Rams year is the 13 seconds
That's
year.
Tampa losing to Brady.
Yeah. So
all right.
So maybe we dodge that bullet.
But I got a hypothetical for you guys right now. So speaking of those very Bears, their over under on wins right now is 8.5. So I mean, with the hook, you're talking 9 games. Do they win 9 games?
I like them for 9 and 8.
Not in their division, I don't think.
No, you might be right. I don't know.
Green Bay's too good. Detroit's too good. I was looking at Detroit's win total. I think it's 10.5, and I wanted the over on that. Remember, Green Bay owns the Bears like the Bills own the Dolphins. Right? Jordan Love just took over ownership of that from Aaron Rodgers. So until they can show otherwise,
that might be a division with 3 playoff teams, because I don't really see big things coming from the NFC South this year.
No, and don't
sleep on
the
Bears this much credit already.
I'm giving them more credit than the Panthers, the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Falcons. Like, I'll take them over any. I mean, also the Falcons will probably win that division. But
I think the Bucs and the Falcons are not to sleep on.
Oh, I don't know. I'd like to see the Baker redemption arc continue, but
me too. That's what I'm saying. I think he'll be okay.
We got to write this down. Put my money on Falcons for that division, though.
Okay.
Just this year. Think addition by subtraction. Arthur Smith gone, up. Arrow up.
I don't disagree with that. That's true. That's true.
Mustache. All right. I got one more game for you guys before we close out here. This was inspired by a Joe DiBiase tweet, so I want to give credit there. So Brandon, if you've seen this already, I know Pat probably hasn't. All right. So today's game is called Who Does This Backup Quarterback Play For? And I saw this tweet and I didn't realize the turnover this year in backup quarterbacks. I totally forgot that these guys had gone these places. So I'm going to name a quarterback and you're going to tell me what team they are signed with currently. And if we get more than half, I'm going to be freaking amazed.
Wow.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's start off with a quote unquote easy one. Joe Flacco. Who's Joe Flacco signed with right now?
He didn't sign with anybody, right?
No, I don't think he's with the Browns. He's not with the Browns.
Not with the Browns.
Broncos?
Nope.
Chargers?
Nope. Joe Flacco is a Colt.
Really?
All right, next up.
Good signing.
For AR.
Next up, Jameis Winston.
Saints?
No.
Oh, Vikings?
Nope.
Ravens?
It's not the Steelers. AFC or NFC?
AFC.
Is he on the Browns?
Yes. James Winston is on the Browns.
All right. Because I remember him talking about how he has a chance there because Watson, he thinks he can play. So that'll be a good battle.
I think he's going to play too. I think Watson's going to get injured or suck. So anyway, next up, our boy Carson Wentz, Mr. 7 teams here.
LA.
At least 7. Nope.
Really? The Rams? He's not on the Rams?
I think he was last year. Well, let's see. He's played for the Colts. He's played for the Commanders. I mean, obviously the Eagles.
These guys all
Jaguars?
signed.
Nope.
They all have deals.
Top of the AFC.
Chiefs.
Yep.
All right. Mason Rudolph.
Kevin Rudolph. Let it rock. Let it rock. Let it rock.
Mason Rudolph. Obviously, it's not the Steelers. Did he switch
Sounds
to
like
go
a Raiders
to the
signing.
Broncos?
Mason Rudolph is a Titan.
Oh.
Wow.
All right. Desmond Ridder.
Saints.
I was high on him last year.
Desmond Ridder is a Cardinal.
Okay.
Marcus Mariota. This is like musical chairs.
Eagles?
No, close geographically-ish.
Giants?
No.
Steelers?
Washington.
Commander. Mariota is a Commander. Mac Jones. You probably should get this.
Jaguars, yeah.
There you go. All right, we got one. Nice.
Hey, I got Mariota.
How about Josh Dobbs? This is funny. I can't keep track of this stuff either. But Josh Dobbs is a 49er. 49er this year. And last up, Kenny Pickett. Do we remember where
Eagles.
Kenny Pickett went? Eagles. Nice job,
Philly.
Pat. All right, so we got 2 out of however many.
Wow.
And 3 if you count the one that I, led Brandon to like a lost sheep. But so 2.5. 2.5. Boz with Brando. New segment.
Hey, Browns, I got Winston.
That's true. All right. Well,
that's hard. That was hard.
That was really hard. I was going to say, if I didn't have that in front of me, I wouldn't have known any of that stuff. I mean, we're Bill centric. We focus on the Bills, and these transactions happened probably over a month ago for most of them. And the NFL moves fast. I feel like we'd be getting into preseason and we're still going to be like, oh my God, I forgot that player is with that team. And I think it's still going to be that way with wide receiver, especially looking at the Titans. I keep forgetting that Tony Pollard is with the Titans now. Yeah, they have obviously loaded. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley as well.
Tyler
Boyd as well. That's the other wide receiver.
Bad. I mean, they've thrown a lot of money around. So.
Yeah, better skilled players than the Bills.
Yeah. I feel bad for you though, man. I was watching all the stuff you're going to need to watch every Bills game. I just feel like anyone who's listening, watching this, just go to the store and get an antenna, please. For your sake and for everyone's sake involved. So.
Yeah. So luckily I have a friend who has YouTube TV, so I don't have to pay for a full year of that. So we usually split the Sunday ticket promotional cost because you're allowed to have a couple of users on it, but you can only stream 2 screens at once or something like that. But so that's the only annoyance, but at least we get that. And then pretty sure I have most of the other streaming services. I think I have Peacock, somebody's Peacock, and somebody's, the family Amazon Prime that covers Thursdays, and
Netflix.
And I heard
Netflix is going to be tough. I might have to go to a friend's house for Netflix on Christmas Day, but again, those aren't Bills games, so that's just the Christmas Day games. I was going to say those are the only streaming exclusive ones. Everything else is when it's nationally televised is on local TV everywhere, which through YouTube TV, you can watch it that way too. So for me, it'll probably end up being $150 to $200 tops for the year.
That's not
so
bad.
I still end up ahead of what people used to pay for Sunday tickets. So I guess I'm lucky in that regard, but again, it's because I have a friend paying $5 a month for Peacock. Also, that calculation of it costs almost $1,000. That's for a full year of all these streaming services as well. Yeah. So if you started them and canceled them after you didn't need that game, I think it'd be probably around $500 if you're paying for YouTube TV and Sunday ticket in full. But anyway, don't trust my Noombrace on that one. But yeah, do what Pat said. If you live within the market of Buffalo, get your free TV antenna. Brando and I grew up on that free TV. No cable for us. So
yeah.
Anyway, all right, we got to get out of here. Brando's got to get to bed. It's getting late here. Happy birthday, Josh Allen.
Joshy.
You guys know where to find us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, Tinder, @NotBuffPodcast. We'll post clips on anything and everything. We might start a LinkedIn soon. Who knows what's going to come next? So anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week, and go Bills.
Go Bills.